Hey guys, this is FDL. I'm bringing you my first ever commentary, first ever gaming video. I've always enjoyed watching them, and now I'm trying my hand at them. Uh, Comments are very much welcome. Help me improve myself, and hopefully we can all get something out of those. I know my mic is crappy, so no need to comment on that. If I ever decide to put more time and energy into this, I'll invest into some hardware to help me. But for now, we'll work with what we have. So yeah, basically, I've been playing Shadow Era for what is it, nearly 3 years now, 2.5 years maybe. And we're now just before, or at least we hope we're just before the third expansion hits. So yeah, Shattered Fate is in open beta. This is patch 2.8, and yeah, I thought I'd fill the void with some commentary video and some previews of the new set. I'm not gonna go on a card by card preview of the set. I'm just gonna present a couple of decks that I like and that might be new and might highlight some of the new cards from Shattered Fates. Well, the set itself brings 200 new cards to the game, 10 of which are heroes. So the 20 heroes we've been used to since Call of the Crystals, they get 10 new friends. Well, actually, they get 12 new friends because we have two legendaries, Lost. I don't know how to pronounce it, but we'll go with Loist, and Rotham, who are actually both available right now as of patch 2.801 on a live server. If you back to the Kickstarter campaign, you can play with those two legendary heroes. But otherwise, the 10 regular heroes, each class go one, each faction class mix go one. So yeah, that makes 10 total. As you see, some art is currently missing, about half the set, I'd say. We've been seeing a lot of art previews popping up on the forums lately, so hopefully that's a sign that where the set is nearing completion. But today, first I'm gonna focus on Garth, the new rogue hero. I like him because I like to start with him because he plays a similar game to the classic mid-range Shadow Era decks, so a bit like Boris or Lance or maybe even Ember, but he's slower than Ember. But you get the idea. He gets into those gritty board control games that we're used to. So you try to play some weenies early, then get a draw engine online and fight for board control until a player takes over and runs the other guy over. So who is Garth? Garth Ravensoul, if you're gonna use his full name. He's kind of a ninja, isn't he? He has a 3 shadow energy ability, which means it's very much spammable. You're gonna use it early and you're gonna use it often. What it does is that it pings an ally for 1 damage, and then doubles any damage that ally takes until the start of your next turn. So it could be combat damage, it could be ability damage, anything goes. It's a very good ability that's usable as early game on turn 3 or 4 when you get it, and it stays relevant until the end of the game, unless you're playing a solo opponent, obviously, but those are rare enough. What's very interesting with Garth's ability is that it's very very much a mix of Serenas and Lances, where Serena is limited to weapons and Lance is only usable on allies. Garth doesn't care where the damage comes from, and it could be a fireball for all he cares. It's just he doubles all the damage, so you can use it if you have an ally on board or a hasted ally in your hand. If you have a weapon on board or in your hand, which makes it very playable and it offers a lot of value all throughout the game. So like I said, I built a classic board control deck, and well, the deck builder isn't perfect to present decks, but I'm just gonna go in order right here and go through the deck, and it's gonna be a little back and forth, especially with the new cards, but hopefully I don't lose you along the way. So, well, we obviously have the heart of pretty much every rogue deck. Stock Thief as a resource destruction and item destruction and resource acceleration, and ill-gotten gains as the main draw engine, where every time you kill an ally or you destroy an item, you get to draw a card. I always like lilies with my ill-gotten gains, and this deck also has a healthy number of weapons. So Lily, she gets the top item from your graveyard, which can sometimes screw decks that hold onto their item destruction for ill-gotten gains, and Lily basically gives you a fifth one, so you can outrace them or outlast them. Next we have Nightshade, which is also a very common rogue ally. But actually in this deck I don't like him so much, but I'm still playing him because I'm used to him. But with Garth's ability being usable on turn 3 if you go second, I think you want a 2-attack, 2-drop on the field to be able to deal with your 5 HP weenies. And Nightshade, he only gives you 3 damage on turn 3 if you use Garth's ability, so it's not as good, but it's still very good ally, so he stays in for now. A lot of decks that don't have direct damage can't really deal with him, and if he draws a crippling blow or Now You're Mine or any kind of removal, it's a bit of a win for me. So Nightshade is in. Next we have the Ankle Breaker, which is the staple rogue weapon. And notice I said there were weapons in here, and I only have 1 Ankle Breaker. It's actually my 5th weapon. It's just good. I mean, and the final split will probably have more Ankle Breakers, but right now I want to showcase the new weapons, so we'll get to see that a little bit later. I love Seductress as in a guard deck because even if you're going first, your ability is usable on turn 4. So if you go turn 3 Seductress and you can stun your opponent's 2-drop, actually you can't, because if you go first, you have more resource than your opponent. But if you go second, you can stun, and even if you go first, you can play Larian Seductress. And then on turn 4, you play Ill-Gotten Gains and use Garth's ability to kill your opponent's 3-drop. So you get to draw a card and kill his weenie, all just off the back of a small 2/4. And if you're going second, and then you can use the stun and pull the same Ill-Gotten Gains into Garth's ability for a kill on turn 4. So you get no tempo loss from playing Ill-Gotten Gains, which is very nice. But a little bit more on that. So the first Shattered Fate card that's in is Visca, who's a 3/6 for 6 resources, who comes in hasted, which is very nice. And she also has this great ability that reduces all combat damage dealt by heroes to 0. So you can attack into an Ankle Breaker, you won't take any damage and you won't get disabled. You can attack into a Dragon's Tooth and you won't get killed. You can attack into a Jeweler's Dream, and you get the idea. No combat damage from heroes. She's unique, and but she meshes really well with Garth's ability. Basically, out of nowhere, you can deal 7 damage to an opposing ally, which is very useful. Skilled Ironmonger. So I was talking about 2-attack, 2-drops, and this is the buffed Puan that rogues get in Shattered Fates. So it's basically a Puan, a 2/3 for 2 resources with a great unsummon ability. It's not very usable early game, but later in the game it gains a lot of value. It gives an extra durability to a weapon or armor of your choice. So that's a lot of value out of an Ankle Breaker or a Cutlass that we'll see later. So yeah, I'm running IGG as my main engine, as my draw engine, But I've seen a number of rogue decks that decide to not play ill-gotten gains and instead focus on cantrips such as Backstab and uh, run more of an attachment-based draw engine with Treasure Heirloom and Zalan Crusader, another card you'll see a lot of in Shattered Fates. But for me, I'm sticking with ill-gotten gains in this particular deck. You'll see there's another ally that meshes well with it coming. So, but I'm still playing Backstab because it's the new Assassination for me. I like it more than Assassination. Well, first of all, I guess you can read, but I'll just read it anyway. You play Backstab on an ally, and it gains +2 and ambush until the start of your next turn, and you get to draw a card. So it's a cantrip; it replaces itself, and if you get to kill an ally with that, you can get great combat tricks with Backstab, where you play a Seductress to stun an ally, then Backstab the next turn to deal with it. And if you combo it with Garth's ability, you get an extra 4 damage out of a 2 CC cantrip. So very useful. I mean, you can debate between Backstab, Assassination, and the new Garth's Concoction also, but they're all good cards. But I have I like Backstab, so I'm playing Backstab. Another reason to like Backstab in ill-gotten gains is Wily Smuggler. I don't see it a lot on the test server these days, but I like him, and I think Garth loves 2/5s allies, because there's a great chance that they survive to turn 4 when you play them early. So you can then use Garth's ability with them to deal to deal 5 damage. And Wily Smuggler is a rogue class ally, comes in at 2/5 for 3, and he has an activated ability. It's free, but you need to activate it, so if Smuggler is disabled, you can't benefit from it, which basically gives you back 2 resources if you played an item this turn. So if you go turn 3 Smuggler, turn 4 ill-gotten gains, you can get 2 resources back to play either a Backstab or one of your 2 drops. And as the game moves along, I mean, when you play a weapon, you can get some resources back, and the ability stacks. So if you have a couple of smugglers, and it's an ally that Amber has a bit of trouble dealing with because of the 5 HP, and if she has to spend a crippling blow on it, well, you still get to activate the ability throughout the game. So I like it. I mean, I think people prefer other allies, but I'm going to stick with Smuggler for now, and it's a new ally to showcase, so yay for Smuggler. And then we come to Thoutrippe, which is probably one of the most talked about of the new allies of the set. It was nerfed a little while ago on the open beta and generated a lot of discussion. But so basically, Thoutrippe, it's a 2/3 for 3, which is a very below average body, but it has an unsummon ability that allows you to prevent an opposing ally to attack or defend until your next turn. So it's basically a Seductress without restriction. You have to note that the ally can still use activated abilities, so if you try to stun a Plasma Behemoth, it will still be able to use its Fireball. But that's another very useful ally in the early game for Garth. So with it, you can stun your opponent's weenies, even if you go first. So you go Sword Thief, and then on turn 4, you can use your ability. You can use Backstab to kill your opponent's 3-drop. So and as the game goes on, it's always relevant, because even if you have double your opponent's resources, well, you can still trigger Sword Thief on summon ability. So it's a very, very interesting ally, and we'll see a lot of play in a lot of rogue decks, that's for sure. Roadless Travel, that's another very, not controversial, but it's a staple card from Shattered Fates. What it does, it allows you for 2 resources to return an ally. It can be yours or it can be your opponent's, to its owner's hand, and the owner of that ally draws 2 cards. So if, let's say, my Thoughtrippe was crippled, I can play Roadless Traveled on it, get it back into my hand, and draw an extra 2 card. Or if I need a retreat, well, I can't retreat my opponent's ally, but I will give him 2 cards. I don't use that function very often, but it's there and makes it a very versatile card that's going to see a lot of play. It has been nerfed. It has been announced that it's going up to 3 casting cost, but it's still going to see a lot of play. It's not. I mean, it will slow down a little bit some of the decks that have used it early, and some of the decks that have used all the unentered abilities that you have now in Shattered Fates. So yeah, I think it's warranted, but it's still a very, very interesting card. And finally, we come to what is probably my favorite card of the new set, Thoughtrippe Cutlass. It's shown here as a rogue and hunter weapon, but it has been announced that it's going to be switched to a rogue and elemental weapon. So it's a 5 resource weapon with 2 attack and only 3 durability. But what it does is if you manage to kill an ally in combat with Cutlass, that ally's controller discards a card from their hand at random. So if you have an outdone in play and I play Cutlass, I use Garth's ability on it, let's say, to double the damage it takes, and then I swing with Cutlass and kill it, well, you have to randomly discard a card from your hand, which can be very damaging, and it changes a lot of things about Shadow Era, I think. If you have to be aware that your opponent can't play Cutlass because you can't sacrifice and count cards as easily as you could before. And especially on turn 5, when you've played a couple of allies, hopefully you've managed to put your draw engine on, but usually the cards you have in your hand on turn 5 are very good cards, and they define your deck, and they're the cards that you want to play on turn 5 and 6. And then your opponent comes in with Cutlass, kills one of your allies, and you lose a card. It could be your tidal wave, or maybe the item destruction you were keeping because you knew that the rogue was going to play a Cutlass. So yeah, I very much look forward to seeing how Cutlass turns out once it hits live. And I'm very much looking forward to playing it in a Zaladar, but that's another another story. So so that's that. We had a couple of new cards to preview, and now I'm gonna just jump into a game and see how it plays. So see you on the other side.